So hello everyone, here we are up at Boomerang, first trail plot, whatever we're calling it I guess now. We talked about in the last video I put up on YouTube, turnaround, which is that way. You can kind of see it down the utility right away here. We got some early successional habitat mixed with some invasives like giant hogweed, unfortunately. Kind of mixed in between, but what that does is provide a good travel corridor between these plots and stuff like that these deer can scent check and or visually observe as they pass through that. Good stand opportunities. I'm very rarely sitting on top of these fields. I'm actually standing in the winter wheat right now. A couple things I want to talk about with this. I want to talk about the difference between awned and awnless wheat, because we have a mix in this because of the way we get it. We get it from Thorn Farms over there. That's where we get all of our winter wheat from, is over there, Thorn Farms, Clyde, New York, or over Marengo, whatever you want to call it. And right now, this wheat is ready to go. When that seed head starts drooping and it gets heavy, this is when I want to see what's in these winter wheat fields. Perfect right now. You can see it's just kind of crumbling in your hand. This is at its peak maturity. This is getting huge protein bumps, huge bumps in its nutrient values when that seed head solidifies. And I'll take you up into this and we'll be able to show you what these deer are starting to do to this. And I don't think another couple weeks, I bet they'll have this plot pretty much, cleaned out probably by the time I come to check these cameras again. So what we got here is, let's go right out in it, and I'll do my good old random hat throw test. Look at that, even caught right in the wheat. Perfect. Right next to a little bit of a deer trail here. So now I'm assuming right now, because of the wheat that's right in this spot, that this was just happened to be an awnless patch in the bag. And as you can see, if you look at it, it doesn't really look browsed. Like I said, this is just peaking right now. This is an awnless variety of wheat, or a very short awned that you get sometimes with these heads. The awn is referring to this stiff guard hair that you have at the tip of the wheat head. These will be favored first, and we'll actually probably see this side of the plot disappear in wheat heads before we will that other side. So you look at it and you're like, man, Ben, they're not eating this at all. Until you look here close. Done, 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 done. If you have this section here, let's just grab this handful right here, right next to a deer trail. They're going to hit it wherever they're walking first, obviously. And you see that there's a bunch of wheat heads there. But look at this one's gone, this one's gone, this one, 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 this one. These ones are actually bit off. You can see right there, right here. And what I want to show you guys is a comparative, and I'm assuming over on the edge I'll get this comparative. This is our awnless variety, which will be browsed first. Usually, if you just have awnless, they're probably going to hit your awnless because there's nothing else to eat. But the awnless is more on that side for whatever reason, just the way that it kind of split off in the thing. But as I'm looking over here, oh yeah, look at this. Closer to the edges, or wherever the deer are coming out, there's a nice trail that dumps in right here, as you can clearly see. Look at this. Eating this wheat right up through this little deer trail here, eating the wheat. But what you'll have along the outsides here is a spot like this. This is done by squirrels. It might be because there's a woodchuck here. He might even be eating on it. I've never seen a woodchuck eat it, but I think it's potential. But when you see it bent over like this, and you see a bunch of, usually there's a bunch of kernel heads on the ground. Yeah, see? A bunch of kernel heads here on the ground like this. That's squirrels, and it's maybe small songbirds, but mostly squirrels. I've seen them literally come off of the edge of a woodlot into a winter wheat field, bend the stalks over, and eat that seed head. So, providing food for a lot of different wildlife, as well as, your turkeys, your small game animals. Maybe Mr. Woodchuck's eating it too. That's why it's all bent down by his hole there on this no-till plot. But right here, this is all new food plot last year, first time ever planted. And as you can see, with the single spraying in the spring, the buckwheat cover crop in that summer time frame, and then the fall plant of this field. I actually did this with my buddy Nate. He helped me out, and we had some medium red clover left over. We threw that in the mix, putting some nitrogen back in. When we roll this all down, we'll spray it once. Again, one spray a year you can get away with the right conditions, and that's because this plot is pretty weed free. A little bit of Timothy bolting right now, some residual goldenrod. Must have been there was a locust tree here, because this must be root suckers off of that. A couple years they'll be out of here too, and that's fine. But this is all looking good. This is mostly awnless over here. The awn was more on this side kind of the plot for whatever reason. Might have been where the bag was. So this is a good illustration here. This is a bunch of awned right next to a deer trail, right next to the main trail. This is an awn section of it, and the awns, like we were saying, is the hairy seed heads. Awn's like an awning, hangs over the top. That's how I tell people to remember it. This is awned, has the overhanging. So that's a stiffer seed head. These are really stiff. If you can, hopefully you can hear that. They're really stiff hairs, and I think that's probably why the reason they don't choose to forage on these as readily. But right here you can see, and again, I don't know which ones they're eating, but I've seen this side by side with awned on one side of a plot, awned on the other. You can see right through here there's a bunch of awned. Must be it came out of the spreader at one time or something, and you get a lot of awned over on this other side. But if we look in here, there is no, I mean not a single one, even a loose awnless variety in here that's browsed. So that's a key thing. If you are getting a chance to choose what you buy awned versus awnless, I would prefer awnless if you can find it, and find it specifically. Thorn Farms has got great seed, and it's good high quality local stuff, and I don't have a problem with it. It's real cost effective. You can get into it for, I think it's probably 10 or 12 bucks a bag, usually depending on the yield and how much he's planting that year. But again, nice medium red clover underneath, very minimum weed growth. I mean, look at how much is suppressed, the weed growth down here. The only things coming up is the spread clover, which works so well nursed in with a cereal grain like this winter wheat. So, and then we had a little bit of crimson clover out here as well for some nitrogen booster. That's all going to seed, so we'll see. We might even get some residual crimson in here. We'll probably still throw some crimson into our mix. There goes a crimson seed popping out at me, but really great spot. I like this plot, and this was actually hedgerow last year too. So what we're standing in, this was all, you can see some residual goldenrod because it was mixed overhanging cover. We pushed a lot of trees up and out when we did this plot, released the apple trees accordingly. This was one of them. As you can see, loaded. Jake helped me trim this one up last year. Really good looking apple tree. Lots of mass, lots of forage, and a nice bow shot from the stand down here at the bottom of the hill. Also nice tree that dumps out here, nice scrape as well. This is the only spot we balled up, and I don't like rimming a food plot, and I'll talk about that real quick. That's pushing up the brush all around. I would rather have it in strategic piles, like up there by the tower blind you can't see, which is just about, perfect, because that allows us to get in behind that wall brush, access in, get up in our stand, and be able to get off at night too, reasonably if the deer are down in the bottom corner or across the top in this plot, because it's kind of a boomerang shape, hence the name, our first trail plot. But it got more of that boomerang shape when we extended it. So as you can see, you got a couple apple trees that we used, a tree that we felled here on the edge to use as a cheap seclusion cage on our apples we got right here that we're trying to establish from a nice bow shot from that tower blind too. And as you can see right here along the edge, I want to talk about some deer damage. Oh boy. And that's what you're going to see here over these next couple of weeks in this wheat field. Again though, don't let the squirrels confuse you. If your wheat's knocked over like this, the squirrels are using it. But the problem is when that squirrel climbs up that thing to get that winter wheat, he knocks it over, it doesn't stand back up. It breaks off. That's why you can tell the difference between deer and then squirrels getting into your winter wheat. So, and then this down here, this was another switchgrass experiment planting, and I'm just not good at planting switch, apparently. But we did have some screening blend in here last year. This was the wall, and we'll probably come back through and look at doing something else with it this year. We do have a little bit of volunteer stuff. Must have been hard seed in the mix, but we might let this grow up this year and see what it does. Maybe use some of these shrubs that are coming in naturally on their own, a little bit of honeysuckle, just for some blockage and some screening. Up top it worked out really nice. We pushed out 2 locust trees, and that's providing great cover. It's a thick wall of locust. We'll be able to cut the heads off of it and use that for our screen across the top in there that you can see right here, because that blind's actually right up in there and I can see the window, but that's it. So great down there. And then like I said, this stuff, believe it or not, this was all huge. I mean, you can see the tops of it still. Sorghum screen that we had in here from Deer Eggs the Wall. good annual screening blend for sure. And I wanted to give this switchgrass one good pull. This could get a mow this year. I might just let it grow up natural forage, and then that way it keeps the deer off the edges of the fields a little bit better too. So, but yeah, so that's what we're doing. This is the update from Boomerang. Hope you guys learned a little bit about awned and awnless wheat. And I just can't get over how much hogweed we got. I was talking to a couple people on Facebook the other day about, how much, is around and everything like that. And this is the thing, we control it where we can on this piece of property. It's a large infestation, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of plants, and we just don't have the time and budget, only where it's high impact areas. And this was actually all hogweed in this plot when we started planting this. Probably, I think, 6 years ago we started planting this field before we expanded it and stuff. This was all hogweed like you see over here. So with applications such as tilling, disking, killing, and spraying mostly in this plot. We did disc this up once in the center, but the new stuff on the edges is all no-till. And as you can see, we got no difference. So the line's right about here. And then as I pan over more, you can't tell the difference really. A little bit of residual vegetation, that was probably some perennial stuff from the rootstock. And again, we'll make this plot, expand it out, get up in that little knob this year. When we roll it in and spray it in, we'll go right over this with the roller. The deer are going to clean it out for us by the looks of it, so we won't get a lot of residual take. And then we'll get a good roll on this, a good spray. Might do it the same day. We'll see how it rolls in. This will be my first year rolling in winter wheat, but it should work just fine. This will cover just like a nice thick layer of straw on your fresh planted seed in your yard. So that's going to be great. It'll hold moisture, keep us all going good, and we'll have a great slamming fall food plot here. This is probably going to be turnips down here this year because it was wheat as a cover crop. I wanted to winter wheat the whole thing, just to get the weeds out of it and really provide that good weed suppression, and it's doing just that. So I'm looking forward to what this is going to do in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully I'm looking at this plot, giving you guys an update, and all you see is stalks. That's what I'm hoping for. Roll down the wheat straw, and we'll be good to go. Going into the fall planting season here in July, or sorry, we're in July now, but we'll be in August when we're planting our brassica blends in this. So tillage radish and vivant turnips is what we're probably going to go with, and there's a forage turnip and then a groundhog radish for getting that soil broke up and keeping that no-till and not having compaction issues. But this is good, healthy, green, living soil stuff. Good roots in this all over the place, and just using the great crops that we've had for centuries, but using them in the right way so they benefit us and our goals and everything for the wildlife. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see something, please let us know. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. These are single one-take videos live in the field. I don't make any of it up. I just tell you what I see as I go. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you all next time here in the field. Take care, everyone.